Him, could your own father, once he love you, turn around and try to con you. Your own father. This is what he do for me. Meantime, this is what he do for me, his son. Meantime, what did he do for David Dietrich? Build a big house in the backyard of Foxy's, fully air conditioned and luxuriated for David to stay in. There's Justine, there is me, there's Greg, Wendy, and Sadie. None of us, and Christian, none of them is allowed to build on 36 acres of land.
You did.
Hold up. None of us are allowed to build on 36 acres of land. Although I have my house on it, not too long ago, he would tell people all the time, my house have to be broken down. Listen, to build up a big house up there for David, and my house will be used for Phil land for David.
Yep.
Now my question is, what have in them short of time that David come here and in this island, what have he done so great that your own children them have been by your side so faithfully all them years? You could do that to them. For he. You could make statement like I hear you say every day, my people have never done nothing for me. You want he to say his people have never done nothing for he. We all work faithfully and hard for this man. David will stay by his side and say, no, he's a just comer. He wasn't around when we all slave and work hard for my father. Whatever he had done to my father, I support Greg, he had to have pulled a professional con and daddy. Because if he gonna say, we have never done nothing for you, I swear on my daughter's life, we work hard, brother. We work hard for our father. And it's sad to see that he could stand up there and say we done nothing. And David should be apostle with no shame, you know why? If you know you go in within a family, you know what you did to daddy, you have to call him because the rest of the family know don't want you here. But you fighting to stay in? What kind of shame you are, brother? If I went in, anyone in your family, and the rest of them don't want me there, I will say to the old man, look man, I don't feel comfortable to be in a place where I'm not wanted. Why you so want to be there? My thing is so hot to the point where
I would like to say something because my main aim is to keep our company solvent. Foxy and I formed companies back in the 90s in order for banking and just because to protect ourselves that you have a company, so we formed a company. In 2004 we formed 3 new companies. Foxy's Tavern Bar, Foxy's Retail Limited, and Jos Van Dyke Island Produce doing business as Foxy's Taboo. 3 companies. He and myself became shareholders. At that time, and from the beginning of when I came to the Virgin Islands and worked with Foxy from 1971 when I arrived, I cooked, I cleaned, I served dinners, I did everything. I did the bar, I did the finance, I did the shopping, I bore the children, raised the kids, chased the cows when we had to chase the cows, went up in the hill, did all of that, okay? So the business began to build and then became successful, but basically we ran it as a mom and pop. We just took the cash, just like he says, we took the cash, and it was mostly cash, wasn't credit cards and things like that. Things developed, it becomes more convoluted. We formed the company. We had no question of how the shares were divided. I, in fact, never looked at them. And I even thought they were 49-51 because that's what he always said. If he went into business with anyone foreign, they would be. So he had the majority. You can't change shares in a company once you have a company. It was 50-50, it is 50-50. Now they want me to give up my shares so that I have no control. I will have no say, so if David is put in control, I will be working for David. I have no time with this man. I find him to be an evil, bad man.
I suppose.
Truly bad man.
Me too.
And he is supposedly working for our company, but he does not work for our company. He only works for Foxy. He says yes to Foxy, yes to Foxy, yes, 3 bags full Foxy, yes, 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 yes. What Foxy doesn't tell you about the business and the supposed losses and the fact that he never got money is that he has always said, I'm a man, I don't have a watch, I don't have a phone, I don't need any money.
Yep.
When I finish this, I'll just go back to lying in the hammock again. He never felt as if he needed money. He gave me control of the money, and that was fine. What I did with the money has just put it back into the business.
And he buy a big fish.
But he has not told you, he's neglected to tell you that he bought a boat for $250,000, totally without my agreement. Went to the bank with another man, totally without me, to buy this boat. Didn't have any idea how to run the boat. Nobody had any idea how to run the boat. Borrowed another $100,000 for the boat. We are still paying off the boat, $5,000 a month. So that's $60,000 out of our gross profit that goes out before anything else. Mr. Dietrich, as Mr. Callwood, seem to have no idea about how a company is run. That the bottom line of cash in the bank, I always felt this myself, that cash in the bank is what you had because I'd always dealt with cash. But then I learned from people who do accounting that that is not the only way you determine a company's profitability. There's a profit and loss of stock bought and sold, and I can't go into those details, but that is not how a company is assessed as being profitable or not. We now, at the beginning of this season, are better off than we have been since the hurricane where we lost everything. So now we're ready to start again. We have all the deposits coming in from the New Year's Eve party. We have like $60,000 to deposit. We haven't done that. The shop was fine until I went to Las Vegas to a trade show on the 1st of October, only to get phone calls to say that the surveyors were in on the land, surveying the land, apparently to survey out my 1/9 of an acre that I am supposed to get from my husband out of 36 acres, having been married to him for nearly 50 years and having nursed his grandfather, nursed his father, looked after our children, run the business, done everything. That just didn't seem fair. And when they offer me $1 million, the business has not been evaluated, so there's no. Huh? Oh yeah, sorry. They went into the bank and got a teller who I guess David knew to tell them how much was in the retail account. These are accounts that both Foxy and I both know. So they find out that there's $187,000. So they persuade this customer service person to make a transfer of $200,000 out of my account. Oh, I'm sure you worked out, covered your traces. You never sign anything either. Another good ploy. So Foxy signs over $200,000 to Forever and Ever International, another not associated with Foxy's business. So now he can say that the bar account has no money and the shop account has no money. So what they want to do is they want to back me into a corner to give in, because they know that between the staff, the way I feel about the staff, of keeping the business open and so on, that I will then cave in, take their offer of $1 million and $50,000 a year for 5 years, I think it was. They never offered me $2 million. I don't know where they got that story. I heard it circulating. They never offered me $2 million. $1 million for a business which I have helped build, a brand which I singly have built in terms of the publicity, the t-shirts. Greg and I cooperated on all the reggae shows we We ran at the beginning of this century. For 10 years, we did a lot of reggae shows. I'm sure Zan even knows that. And we did the New Year's Eve party. We built that up. We built the building. And all of a sudden now, we have done nothing. We are worth nothing. And all I want to do is keep the business open. Our responsibility as a company owners is to run our business profitably. I wish to run our business profitably.
Yeah, I know. Puerto Rico's coming for me, right? You're already trying
to run it, we need to stay open.
You're already threatening my
We need
family's
to stay
life.
open.
You're already threatened. Go ahead, run.
They're trying to close us. They've gone, he or someone sabotaged the toilets so we'd have problems with health. We've fixed them all. Health has gone over this afternoon. We should be able to open by tomorrow. Now I hear that he's carried our staff in for labour violations, so he's trying the next tack. He also told Dean that he has 15 more up his sleeve to keep us closed. We think Foxy should be open. It's a benefit to us, to our family. It's our right and our duty as a company and to the BVI because we're an iconic brand.
Okay, Tessa, obviously, like you alluded to, Foxy's is an international name and it lends greatly to the tourism product of this British Virgin Islands, especially being on the sister island of the US Van Dyke. Do you think any of this, as it is right now in the public sphere, going to affect the continuation of the flow of business there?
Absolutely. It's totally damaging to us. People don't know if we're open or we're closed. They are expecting to come for the Interline Regatta. I forced an opening because we had pledged to hold it. He was director of operations. He is supposed to make sure the business was open when it had to open. It was a pre-scheduled event. It should have been open. They tried to close it. He told me, hold it at taboo. Why can't you do that? All you need is some rum and some ice and some Coke and you can hold it at taboo. And I said, well, by the same token, we can hold it at Foxy's, which we did, and then we had a sewage issue because somebody managed to stick a bottle in the vent of the back of the septic system so that it backed up. And so then, he made sure everybody goes home, including the plumber who was fixing it in the morning, so that he can bring health over so that they will close us. And that is what happened, and that is why we are closed.
You made mention about the offerings that they're offering you. Do you intend to accept what they're offering you, and how far do you intend to go?
No, I don't intend to accept it. It's totally undervalued. I mean, if you're selling a business, you value it first. Then when you've valued it, you make a decision. I don't see how I could accept what they've offered. I don't know if they're prepared to offer me more, but they have to offer me a lot more because my whole life has gone into this business. I have built it alongside Foxy. He has been the face. I have been behind the scenes. I do not take money. I do not steal money. If I felt I should open a boutique because he'd taken $250,000 to buy a boat, well, I didn't even take it. I got a loan from VP Bank. Annie and I got a loan. We repaid the loan. No money was taken. It's just a wash.
You and Foxy build that place. What will you tell Foxy now?
Well, it's very hard. It's very sad. I feel that he's a victim of elder abuse. There are many cases in Florida where people, not just Florida, all over the world, where people come in, see a vulnerable elderly man with great options, and he does have great options. Foxy has great options. Right now, they're making arrangements with one of Kenny Chesney's side people. They want to get a loan. That's where I take it. They'll get the money to pay me out. And I don't know what other arrangements made with them in terms of a corporation that they're going to build something like Margaritaville, but it will be like Kenny Chesneyville in Jos Van Dyke, or what they intend to do. Obviously, they'd like to do it without me. I don't think that's fair.
Tessa, Ron Grant of 284 Meter, thank you for the opportunity. In moving forward, all that you've expressed and desired, what do you want fellow business persons in the British Virgin Islands to understand about your situation, and perhaps moving forward, how could they avoid situations of such?
Well, that's difficult. I mean, I am in this situation because of my marriage. When I appealed for mediation, I wanted to we decided we did not want to go to litigation. I owe a lot to Foxy. Foxy was my mentor. He was, my idol too, like he's David's. And I just have to say he's just changed in the last 5 years. And I think that's similar to marriage, and why I made mention when I did another story that, prenuptials might be a good idea. I think in business dealings, it's also necessary. We went into this as man and wife. we didn't have any thoughts about the division of spoils. It was all to go to our children and our grandchildren, and that's how I'd still like it to go. When we called the mediator, I asked for Sir James Mitchell from St. Vincent, who's a mutual friend, to come and mediate. He was pleased to do it. Unfortunately, he decided to put an extremely large price tag on it, and Foxy had already declared that he was not going to give in on changing the shares to 48% or just making me that offer. So I felt as if it was decided already. So we may have to go to arbitration. But in terms of businesses, especially family businesses, be very careful that everything is clear.
Justine, you're the only child here that hasn't said a word just yet. What do you have to say about all of this?
Well, it's a very interesting situation. I think that I really don't have very much to say that hasn't been said. I think Mr. Dietrich truly feels that he's doing what's best in the interest of my father, and I think my father feels the same way. So it's almost a hopeless back and forth.
What you
within
feel?
it. Personally, I believe that there's been so much evidence of bullying on the part of Mr. Dietrich, and I think he not only has that been the case here, but it's also been in the case in previous situations. He mentioned $1 million offer. Actually, he said 2, but it was $1 million offer that was offered to my mother. It was a 10-day non-negotiable offer.
Right, yeah.
Which goes against pretty much every company's memorandums, in that a company should be evaluated before an offer is made from one partner to another, and this is very specifically stated within our memorandums. He, as an employee of the company, felt comfortable making such a hostile offer, and that to me is somewhat unethical.
As an employee of the company.
And not only that, what has not been said is that, I think he's briefly alluded to, he was never supposed to be director of operations for Foxy's. His job was to come in and begin the water service. That was why he came in, and he needed the director of operations fundamentally
As a cover.
to come in and do that. And my mother was never amenable to that. He then has used that, and as has my father, as a way to establish his power and control, and what I feel is a very undermining way to handle the situation. They feel very differently about the situation than we do.
Okay. Foxy and David, my question to you guys, why you thought it was necessary to go public on this matter?
Are you asking me or Foxy?
Both of you.
Go ahead, Foxy.
The reason why I think I want to go public is because I want the world to see what is happening with my life and in Foxy's. You see that innocent woman there just talking to you now? One of the first things she tell me, after being with me for a while, I don't got the only dick on yours one night.
Oh, Foxy, really? Oh, jeez.
Actions speak.
You make up a lot.
Actions speak louder than words.
Okay, yeah, Foxy, continue.
Okay, yeah. Secondly, she had the power to come up and tell me, pardon the expression, her husband, fuck you.
Oh no, we can't use that language.
I know, but I'm sorry I say pardon the expression, but you could wipe it out. This is your loving wife. Not too long ago, she let me know I'm not the only boss here. I think I'm the only boss at Foxy's, but because of that, what they put in 50-50. I am the only boss, and now she let me know that I'm not the only boss. She let me know, F me. She let me know I ain't the only man with a dick on out.
All right, so we wouldn't go into private matters.
Okay, thank you. But I only let you know with them think. This is why I'm coming
Foxy,
public.
do you love your children?
I love them. I
From
love.
both families, from both wives.
You better believe it, but they have deserted me. That one day, the first man tell me, we have to ice you. There was a meeting upstairs with my father in my father days, and this is the first time I heard that. We'll have to ice you. I sent 2 men up in my land to walk a few weeks ago. He came out with some kind of gun, a machine gun, and threatened my 2 workers on my land.
Okay, these are allegations.
Thank you. And I must continue with that.
Yes.
In the heat of all of this, you being a total stranger,
None.
outsider of this family, would you subscribe to the notion that it's escalated to a level where you should finally just back off and leave family to deal with their issues?
It is definitely escalated to a level that is the case. As of right now, I consider myself no longer the director of operations at Foxy's, nor do I want to be. As of today, I resigned from that position as director of Foxy's. I have no interest in getting killed or having my family killed. I've been threatened again today here at this meeting by pointing fingers and saying this and that. There's obviously the capabilities for them to do it, considering the case. If that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes.
So you're gone.
I'm not going anywhere.
From where?
I'm living here.
Hello.
I'm here.
Here,
No,
just
meaning
right.
you're
As far as-
resigned from Foxy's.
From director of operations
He's
at Foxy's, I have.
According to Trump, he's fired anyway.
Well, but I already resigned a few minutes ago. I resigned as the director of operations. This family mess is between Tessa and Foxy. I don't know why at this stage everybody else wants to get involved, but it's between Foxy and Tessa. It's between Harney's and Dancia Penn. For me, that's personal business. My name's not on the deed. My name's not on the will. And just to say something about what Dean had commented, that I was a scammer and got thrown out of Angel's house. I lived in Angel's house up until the day the hurricane took that house. Then I lived in a hotel room for 11 months with my family on Joost van Dyke, to stay on Joost van Dyke. I contributed every day and in every way. I have yet to meet a person, aside from the Callwood family, that can say, one bad thing I've ever done to them. What have I done to hurt anybody or harm anybody? Especially, again, my daughter and wife. What have they done? My wife is retired. My daughter's 10 years old.
David, let me get you clear. So
Yes.
are you saying now, as a result of what's happening, because what it looks like or what it sounds like, I'm
Yes.
not saying is that with you coming on board, you're putting a family apart.
No!
No, wait, listen to me. Listen, sir. So are you saying that you're pulling yourself out of the entire operation now?
First of all, I have never pulled this family apart. This family was pulled apart long before I ever showed up on the scene. Fox asked me to look into his business. I looked into his business. I have evidence and mountains of it here, if anybody'd like to take a look, of what happened in the past and what this man had experienced and where the money has gone. Plain and simple. I'm a whistleblower, the gravy train's end, nobody likes me. I get that. But to attack me and my family, that's a whole nother story.
David, would it be safe to say that perhaps, would you say that perhaps your approach in going about perhaps trying to negotiate with the family was wrong? Are you in any way inclined to understand their feelings towards how you might have gone about it?
I am not, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm not in any way, shape, or form. Because shortly after I came and everything was figured out what was going on, Foxy asked BDO Accounting to come in, see what's happening, get his books straight. They blocked him from doing that, the office, Tessa and others. Then after conversation, they agreed that BDO would mediate the situation between Foxy and Tessa. The day before that mediation was canceled. That was in 2015 and documented. We got to this point up until about a month ago where everything was going smooth. We were working, the attorneys were working towards a resolution. Some buyout offers were made. Bigger one was made afterwards.
Wasn't made, was never made to me. Untrue.
Okay. And Tessa's decided that they wanted to try arbitration again. Mediation again, using a family friend. Foxy said, excellent. Tessa said, excellent. Let's have this guy that knows us, knows our family, come in and mediate. Again, the very day before the mediation, a letter was sent from Tessa's attorney to Foxy's attorney stating Tessa has once again canceled the mediation. No reason, no this, no that. We've tried since 2015 to 2019 to get this on record and have these mediations and let them sort their differences. They've canceled both times sheerly because it's not enough money for them. Tessa said it herself. Well, I'm kind of interested in I'd sell it, but it's just not enough money. When is enough enough? You've had 37 years of taking it. Time to move back.
You are really
something else.
unbelievable.
Again, I have all the documents here.
Haven't
for
taken
anybody to see
it. It's exactly where it's always been, in the business, in the buildings. I have one account where I put my salary every week. I've been doing it for like 4 years. I finally decided that I needed to put some money away. I put my salary in there every week. With that money, I have started the building at the east end of the island. They say I take it. It was just my salary. That's all I've taken. So that what they're saying is lies. And what about the $250,000? And why the mediation was also canceled was because when we were to engage in it on my return, that was in the interim that we heard that $200,000 had been taken away by my husband, signed away, and put in a different account. Just suddenly out of the blue when you're about to begin the season. $200,000 taken out of the account. You know?
Justin, you said you have a letter to read, to share with us?
Oh, I'm not sure if it's still of import, but it was
His termination letter.
But as he has already resigned, there seems to be a need to do so. Dear Mr. Dietrich, this is your official notice of termination of employment effective Monday, 14th October 2019. While I've tolerated your presence and even signed your initial work permit under duress in order to accommodate my husband, Feliciano Callwood, MBE, and his desire to have you engage in a boat charter business with him, I can no longer condone you remaining in this territory by your actions in supposed employment by Foxy's Tamarin Bar Limited and the other Foxy's enterprises of which I am both a shareholder and a director. You have assumed various roles, albeit aimed at influencing my husband into great risk to him and his family. Therefore, I, Teresa K. Callwood, along with Justine D. Callwood, fellow directors of all the aforementioned Foxy's business ventures and constituting a majority of the directors, hereby do terminate your employment and will request your work permit to be rescinded. We have enacted resolutions by our respective companies authorizing your termination. We will consult the labor code and under separate correspondence issue what you may be entitled to in the form of compensation. You and your family are directed to vacate the business premises with all expediency, but not later than 24th October 2019. Furthermore, we request that you immediately hand over all business-related documents, filing cabinets, computers, and relevant materials that you possess, along with keys and any other possessions belonging to Foxy's Tamarin Bar Limited and Foxy's Retail Limited. The below points provide further matters that are quite serious and impinge on operating a business. The following abbreviated list of reasons for your termination explain and provide further insight into our decision. This list includes serious matters that we know have done great damage to our ability to operate the business. We suspect, but cannot prove, possible criminal violations that you have committed under the auspices of the companies you operate with my husband, the accounts of which have been deliberately withheld in an office to which you and only you have access. There is an implied confidentiality agreement in any employment, and it is clear to us that you have made our personal and business matters public knowledge, said conference quite evident. This is a serious breach, and the exposure has been and continues to be detrimental to our business. You have made unauthorized decisions on behalf of the entire board of directors, while both I and Justine were away from the territory. To wit, the termination of the general manager of the company, Mr. Thomas Warner, without due notice and without the consent of the majority of directors. It appears that you made Mr. Warner a scapegoat for your own inadequacies and failings in your duties. In your role as Director of Operations, you would have had oversight for the business to be open and ready for the Interline Regatta, a pre-scheduled event requiring the business to be open and ready to act as host on Wednesday, 9th October. You did not fulfill this obligation and blamed Mr. Warner and subsequently fired him. You have overridden my authority as director and a 50% shareholder in Fox East Diamond Bar Limited by countermanding my directives and issuing other directives in contradiction to normal operating procedures. On an even more ominous note, we are concerned that you have been committing elder abuse. Namely, you have coerced Feliciano to sign a sweeping power of attorney so you can act in his behalf. This POA is unregistered and was not documented via the normal legal channels. My husband is under the impression that you are working on his behalf, but your actions do little to promote the security of Feliciano's establishments, his family, and rightful heirs. You are responsible for precipitating a shareholders and directors dispute, including a proposed hostile buyout, without the permission of a majority of the directors and shareholders. You purposefully undervalued the shares in the companies and continue to do so, including the shares held by Feliciano. This you did for leverage in matters concerning both current and future business plan. To that effect, we hold you responsible for encouraging and allowing my husband to recently attempt to transfer $200,000 from a business account to an account not associated with Foxy's business forever and ever, in order to attempt to declare Foxy's Tamarin Bar Limited as bankrupt. There is a two-signature approval process on large sums, but it would appear that you coerced him to override the banking procedures and remove the funds. It is evident you are doing everything in your power to ensure closure of the business and dismissal of staff in an attempt to liquidate all present companies in order to force me to accept an undervalued hostile buyout of my shares or reduce the quantity of my shares, so I have no effective power within the company. It is said you are plotting to promote an infusion of capital from an investor to pick up the remains of Foxy's and renovate you as a principal.
Renovate with you.
As a principal. To bolster your efforts, you are responsible for spreading false rumors that Foxy's is insolvent. Those rumors have spread uncontrollably on social media. You are debasing our business and our brand, which both my husband and I have spent a lifetime developing. You, like Feliciano Callwood, do not understand the true meaning of our last 3 years' financial statements and management accounts for 2019. You equate cash in the bank to be equal to profit, and this is not the case. If you had stayed at the meeting of 28 July 2019, Ron Brash, chartered certified accountant UK, would have explained to both you and my husband that the core business of both companies are profitable. It would appear that you have no knowledge of professional ethics and do not grasp corporate governance. You are not qualified to be an estate advisor nor a business advisor of any sort. It is apparent to us that you stand to make a personal gain or profit from the undervaluation of shares. Feliciano is now 81 years old and I, Teresa, am 72. Your actions are performed under the guise of helping my husband and our business. In actuality, they are legally and financially coercive. Your pattern of behavior over the past couple of years leads to the conclusion that you are taking advantage of an elderly man. Promises you make cannot come to fruition, and in the process, both my husband and our entire family will be stripped of generations of hard work and contributions to the BVI. Foxy's Diamond Bar, Teresa K. Callwood, Director, and Justine Callwood, Director.
Any parting word?
Here's, in regards to this, obviously I've already resigned. It sounds to me like they've written a book of personal problems within the family that have nothing to do with me and full of holes and assumptions.
Okay, Foxy, now that David has publicly...
I'd just like to show, the reason the facility was shut down is right there, and there's a video right here showing exactly who.
Foxy, a question, seeing that David has indicated that he has tendered his resignation verbally, and there is a dismissal letter as such from the other half of the family. How do you stand right now?
You're elderly, can't answer.
I am an elderly. David is not directing me in any shape or form. I got my will, it's signed. I paid $100 to prove that I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I started Foxy's, and I'm going to continue with Foxy's, but not under Foxy's Tamarind Bar, under Foxy's Yacht Club.
Do you have any other partners? Any
No.
other business partner?
No partners. I started up a company called Forever and Ever International, and that is to start to work for those people who is creeping and those who is not born as yet, specializing in 7 things: health, education, conservation, fishing, agriculture, housing, transportation. As soon as it's farm, we're going to create a school. As soon as that school is created, those kids is going to start breaking grounds for Yosemite University to teach those things to students from around the world, and the teachers in that university would own 40% of that university. That is my next move.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
There's,
But I'm sorry to hear so many lies. And like I say, my son, that's the first time I heard his word. We will have to ice you. This, and I've been threatened by them over and over and over. I am telling you, their threat on him, his wife. So I am glad my will is written, signed. All that I have goes to my grandchildren, stepping over this generation from seeing and knowing how I have been treated, whatever I own, just like my father gave it to me in one, just so I'm passing it to the next generation. Bye-bye.
Deuces. Peace out.
Deuces.